Andy, can you hear me? Andy.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Have you sent the link? You have
Yeah,
not.
this
I've not
is the
seen the
new
link.
link.
Okay.
You are live, by the way.
Okay. Okay. There is nobody in the class. Wow. Okay. MMGG.
Can you share the link on the Slack channel?
On the Slack channel.
Yes.
Okay. I'll have to open my Slack. So where on the Slack channel am I posting it? Which of the channels am I posting it to?
Just put it in Python and front end channel.
Okay.
Like the full stack one, the one that has front end and Python.
Okay, so because I'm trying to get the link from my laptop to my phone. My Slack is not open. Can you send me the link on Slack? Can you just send it to me? Is your Slack open on your laptop? Andy?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you
I'm on
send
my
me?
mobile. I'm on my mobile, not my system.
Yeah, on mobile. It's okay. I know what I'll do. Don't worry. I'll switch to mobile Zoom and get the. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Okay. You've done. Okay. I'll switch to mobile. Okay. Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me, please? Hello. Please, if you can hear me, please signify in the chat. Hello. Okay. Okay. So I am very sorry for the delay. We will have to make it up. Um, so I would like us to wait for more people to join since the class started late. So give about 7 minutes for everyone to join. I sent it on the Slack channel already, so we'll just give ourselves about 5 to 7 minutes for everyone to join. So so I don't think I understand. Nadia, you said there is a different link on Google. So I already sent the new link to everyone on Slack. So hopefully everyone will be joining soon. So like I said, we'll be starting in about 5-10 minutes. Yes, I just posted a new link now, so they should be able to join with the new link. I just posted a new link on Slack. So if you have friends that they are not able to use the one on the Google Calendar, please, you can give them this link. So we had like a technical difficulty and we needed to sort some things out. So we'll be starting in about 5 minutes. Okay, so for those of you just joining, I have not started. So I gave time for everyone to join since the meeting started late. We had technical difficulties. I am very sorry. So I'm waiting for everyone to join at least for about 50 of us to be here. So if you have friends that are trying to use the link on the Google Calendar, I reckon it has changed because we had to fix something. So please tell them, you can give them this link for them to try it out. So looks like we Okay, so looks like more people are joining. Looks like more people are joining. Okay, so I would have to start recording. So we are about to start. Thank those who have been here since the new link was changed, and I am very sorry we had to take our time. So I'll have to start recording. I believe everyone can hear me. So I believe everyone can hear me. So welcome to today's office hours. I am very sorry for the delay. We had some technical difficulties. I trust we are all doing fine. I trust we are all doing great. And for those of you who have been affected by the weather in one way or the other, I hope it didn't affect you so much. So welcome to today's class. And as usual, we'll be talking all things Python. So like we did yesterday, I would like to take the questions if you have any questions, and I believe everyone has gone through the resources and have been able to at least do a thing or two. So I'll be going through the questions if we have any. I can't see any question. Yes, this is the same link with the link on Slack. So have we been able to download Python? I believe everyone should at least have Python on their devices now, either their computer, their tablet, or their phone, whichever device you are using to write Python. Yes, you can use Jupyter Notebook as long as you write, it works for Python. So I would love to show a demonstration of a simple Python program. Okay, so it seems like everyone is getting, so that I would love to say for the sake of this training, we should use, or we should all stick to one editor. Most times, it is always advisable to use the editor you're most comfortable with. So if it is Visual Studio Code, if it is Sublime Text, if it is Jupyter, if it is PyCharm, whatever you are very most comfortable with, you should use. So it's not a must. You must use VS Code. So you should check the post for on the LMS. the resources are there already, so you should just go through. So just give me a second to yeah. So like I said, for those who are just joining, like we did yesterday, what we are doing is more of an interactive session. So I get to answer any question you have regarding Python. So most especially this week's topic. So for this week, we are covering Python. We are covering introduction to Python. We are covering variable naming in Python. We are covering conditional statements, control structures, loops, for loops. So I hope everyone has a link to the I hope everyone has like the resources. Okay, so if you do not have the resources the LMS already. So you should check the LMS and you should see the resources there. So the resources are like the videos that are covering this week's topic. So from there, you'll be able to get an idea on how to solve this week's task if you do not know how to solve it. So you should check posts. For those who do not have the resources yet, you should check the posts on LMS rather, and you will see the resources to the Python curriculum. So for this week, we are covering, like I earlier mentioned, we are covering introduction to Python, how to install Python on your computer, on your device, variable naming, conditional statements, loops, that is control structures, and the rest. So I'll be sharing my screen to write just a simple Python program. So I hope everyone can see my screen. Please, if you can see my screen, just indicate in the chat section. Yes, you can use PyDroid 3 for Android. For Android users, for those who do not have laptops handy, you can Use PyJoy tree. So for those saying the task is hard, have you been able to go through the resources or the videos? I think I'm using the word resources too much. So have you been able to go through the video? Okay. Okay, so seems everyone can see my screen. So the first thing we have to do is to make sure Python is installed on our computer. So I did this yesterday. I installed I didn't install Python. I already have Python on my system. So I just walked through the process of how to install Python. So if you were not here for yesterday's class, I reckon you just go through the videos for this week, and there is a video on how to install Python for your Windows or your Android or MacBook, whichever operating system you're using. Yeah, I would zoom in. I've not started anything yet. So the first thing you need to do is check if you have Python installed. Yeah. So I've opened my terminal. I am going to zoom in now. So I hope everyone can see my screen clearly. Yes. So this part is my terminal. So it's the same. Okay, so for reference purposes, I am using Visual Studio Code. I'm using Visual Studio Code. So you can also use Notepad plus PyCharm, Anaconda, Jupyter, whatever works for you, as long as you can run your Python code. Now, I am using Visual Studio Code, and this is my terminal. This terminal is the same with my command prompt. So instead of me to just use command prompts, Visual Studio Code has a terminal. So Visual Studio Code has its own terminal, so you don't need to go through the stress of opening your command prompt. So to open your terminal, you can just come to, so there's a shortcut for it, but I think there should be a way to do so here. I use the shortcut. So the shortcut, if you're on Windows, you can just click on Control backtick. So I'll probably just type it on the chat. So I just typed it in the chat. So that would that you should see the command. So I just typed it in the chat, Control backtick. So that's like the shortcut to open the terminal. There should be a way to do so here, but I hardly use. So we should see terminal. Okay, sorry. So this is it. So just click on new terminal. And yeah, new terminal. So I have the terminal. So like I said, first things first, we need to check if we have Python installed. So how do we do that? We use the command Python. So like I said, this is an expo. I mentioned it yesterday that this is an expo. But yeah, so Python V shows us the Python version we have, and if Python is installed. So if you use this command and you see an error that says Python is not recognized as an internal or external command, that shows that you do not have Python installed on your computer and you need to install Python. So just watch the videos and see how to install Python for your device. Sorry, I am multitasking. I'm reading the chat and also talking. So in case if I have like a bit of delay trying to say what I'm saying, just now I'm also reading the chat and having to talk. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to create our file, because every Python code is inside a file. Yeah. Now, our file should have the extension .py. So I've not created the file yet, so I will show you. So every Python file should have the extension .py. So an extension is showing the file format of that particular file. So we have .exe, .py, .zip, .rar, whatever. So that is like the extension of the file. So our Python file too has an extension .py. So I'll just come here and click on this file, new file. So you should see text file or whatever. So let's just do new text file. So if you are using an editor, yeah, you should be able to rename that file when you try to save, especially if it's a new file. So once we click on save, you should see it takes us to like this. It should show you this prompt that allows you to save a file. So let's just save our, let's call our file, what should we name it? Python code. Then the extension, like I mentioned earlier, is py, so .py. So Python code.py, that is the name of our file. So I save the file. Can everyone see me? Can everyone hear me rather? So if you have a Windows computer here and you've watched the how to install Python on Windows, you don't need to go over how to install on Android again and on Linux, since you won't be installing it on Linux and Android. You just, if you can only watch it, maybe you need the knowledge. Okay, so I'll continue. So Python code.py. So now let's start with the basics of the basics. Variables. So variables are like pointers that point to an object. Yeah. So you can think of a variable like a placeholder, something that holds an information. Something that holds an information. So if I have an information, yeah, like 1 or 2, I can store it in a variable called digits. So I can store it in a variable called digits. So digits equals 1. So now the equals to here is an assignment operator. It's called an assignment operator. So you are assigning the variable, you are assigning the value 1 to a digit variable. So digit becomes a variable. So digit is a placeholder. So anytime I need to use what is inside digits, instead of me to reference 1, I can just call digit. So let's just, so I will not be demonstrating this in the file. I'll be doing this in my terminal. So I'll just type Python. Yeah, Python. So this opens an interactive prompt for us, an interactive console for us to use, interactive shell. So this is Python's interactive shell. So let's just copy out the code we have here, digit equals 1. So let's have another digit here. So digit 2 equals 2. So now I want to add both digits. So instead of me to call 1 plus 2, I can just do digit plus digit 2. Then it gives me 3. So digit is a variable and digit 2 is a variable. So they are placeholders. They store information. They store data. Can everyone hear me? Yeah, so, okay. Now, I have on my editor here, I have a way to run. So let's just copy out this code. Let's just copy out this code. Yeah. Now, I want to run this code. Now, it's a Python file. Yeah, Python code.py, it's a Python file. So our editor knows, that is the work, the editor knows what file it is. So it should be able to run it accordingly. But I have an extension here, a VS Code extension called Code Runner. So you can come to this tab here. This place allows us to download extensions. So you have an extension Code Runner. It helps us run our code. So look at the extension here. So if you're on VS Code, you can download it. I already have it here. So you should be able to come to this tab here. You will see something like install or so. So just install it. So once installed, you should restart your VS Code and you would see this little play icon. This play icon here. So that play icon is what shows us that Code Runner is installed. So I just need to click on this play icon. And you can see this file is ran already. So you ran the file python code.py. So what I just need to do is I just need to print. Okay, so let's have another variable called digit3. Print digit3. So can you see it printed the output 3 to the console? So print is a function that allows us output a given variable or a given data to our terminal or our console. So with the print statement here, we were able to see the result of the computation between digit 1 and digit 2 on our terminal here. Okay, so someone asked, what are the applications of Python loops, lists, and dictionaries? So loops are used when you have to go through a given number. So let's say you are working on a data or a data set. Let's say you are working on a data set or a list of users in your database. Yeah. So you have an application and you have about 500 users in your database, and you need to display all the users in a given web page. So you will not be printing them one after the other, or you not be specifying them one after the other. Loops come into play there where you have to iterate over a given set of data. Yeah, so you use loops when you have to iterate over a given set of data. So take note of that. So as we go further, you see the application of loops, but you use loops to iterate over a given set of data. Then list. Can you hear me? So lists are or list is a data type used to store data of the same data type. So list is okay. So let me just demonstrate what lists are. So list is a data type. So okay, I think we've not talked about what data types are. So in Python, we have, I do not want to mention this because it's a bit of an expo, but in Python, we have different type of data types here. So we have string, we have integers, we have booleans, and now a list is a sequence. Yeah. So what list does is it allows us to store different data types. A stack of cards. No, a stack of cards, but in a given container, in a small container. But let me just demonstrate what these lists are quickly. So let's call these numbers. So lists can be denoted with this square bracket here. So this shows that it is the list. So numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 10. So now numbers is a list. So when I print numbers, and I run this code, you can see. Now, let me just show you the data type. For this might be I think my system froze for a while there. Sorry, type of numbers. So can you see? I tried printing Okay, so it seems like the words I'm using are a bit too complex. So iterate, when you have to go over, a data one after the other. So if I want to, okay, so let's say now in this list, in this numbers list, okay, so I just printed the type. So this is a keyword, is a function. No, we'll get to functions and you understand what we are saying when we use this type, but this shows us the data type of a particular variable or a particular data. So the type of this you can see is list. It shows us that it is a list. So we have strings, we have integers. String is a data type that how can I put that is a sequence of characters. So string is a sequence of characters. So a character is like A, B, C to Z. Now, a string is a sequence, a group of characters together. So if I have A and B together, it is a string. So let's just say, let me go over string equals A and B. This is a string. A character is just one single character in the alphabet, obviously, one single alphabet. So a string is a sequence of characters. So ABC is a string, BAT is a string, CAT is a string. So yeah, it's like our normal English. So string, then we have integers. So integers are numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and so on. These are integers. Now we have floats. So floats, it's actually floats. This is it. This is the data type. But floats is decimal. Yeah. So floats is anything that is decimal. So 3.5 is a float. Now, number, like I mentioned earlier, is a sequence. So I believe everyone understands or is following me. Okay. So now let's say, for example, I want to print out all the numbers that are greater than 6 or 5. Yes. So this is where loops come into play. So I will just show you. So in Python, Python has loops. Yeah, so we have two types of loops. You have the for loop and the while loop. So the for loop is used when you know what you want to iterate over. So when you know the given data you want to iterate over, or the number of iterations you want to have. Now, the reasons why I'm using it, because iteration is the term when you want to talk about looping through data. So you should get used to using and hearing the word iteration. So I want to loop through. So I believe everyone can follow me, please. And everyone, I can't see any activity in the chat. Hello, can everyone hear me, please? Okay, so it doesn't look like there's an activity. Okay. 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 So now let's say I want to look through this list. Or okay, so I think I failed to mention. So in Python, they are actually called lists. but the general term for a list is an array. So if you are writing another programming language, you've probably heard of arrays, and arrays are lists. So in Python, we call them lists, but they are also arrays. So I can use them interchangeably. Please just take notes. So let's say I want to iterate over these numbers, and I want to make sure that I get in my console every number that is greater than 5. So what I do is for number, so like I mentioned earlier too, we have two types of loops in Python. We have the for loop and the while loop. So for number in numbers, wait, sorry, I think something is wrong with for num. No, if for number in numbers, rather, not numbers in number. If number is greater than 5, then print number. Yes. So let's run this code. I would explain what this does for those who do not understand. But now, can you see there is this list of numbers here that are being printed to the console, and they are all greater than 5. Now, what this code does is, now if you notice, we have about 2 to 3 things here that seems foreign. So we have the for word here, we have the in, and we have the if. So in Python, we have things we call reserved keywords. So you can't use numbers like for, in, if, else, and the rest as variables. So that is the rule in Python. Reserved keywords cannot be used as variables. So I can't have a variable and call it for equal to 3. I can't do something like this. It's even flagging me. My VS Code is flagging me that there's an error here. So you can't use reserved keywords as variables in Python. Now, what this does is, what this command or what this code here does is, it goes through these numbers here, it goes through the list here, and it does, okay, for number in numbers, that means I want to iterate over this array. Now, this number here is signifying each of the numbers after every iteration. So an iteration is you going through this data at one point, like one point after another. So the first iteration is 1 here. The second one is 2. The third iteration is 3, fourth one, the fifth one, the sixth one, and so on. So what it does is for number in numbers here. So the number here is this number, the current number in each iteration. So now, if number is greater than 5, so it checks, is number greater? So now, that is why Python is called a high-level programming language. If you notice, I am actually reading it as if I am reading English. And that is the difference between high-level languages and low-level languages. So high-level languages are languages that are easily readable by a human being. This is not what our computer reads. Yeah. So when we are going in depth into programming, you would understand the differences between high-level languages and low-level language, and even machine languages. Yeah. Sorry, can everyone hear me? Sorry, can everyone hear me, please? I was logged out of Zoom for a while. So I hope everyone can hear me, please. I was logged out of Zoom for a while. Hello. I hope everyone can hear me now, please. I was logged out of Zoom for a while, and I haven't. So I just hope everyone can. Please, if you can hear me, just signify in chat, and I'll continue from where I stopped. Okay. Okay. I was logged out of Zoom, so it's not from your end, it was from my end. So yes, I am sharing my screen now. So like I was saying, I was explaining. Um so yeah, I was going through the explanation of this. So it is going through every um iterator in this list here. So I think I was explaining the difference between high-level languages and low-level languages. So high-level languages are the languages that we humans can read. Those are not the languages that our computer understands. The compiler compiles those high-level languages into a language that the computer can understand. That is why we are able to read this as if we are just speaking English. So I was going, okay, so yeah, it seems everyone can hear me now. Okay, so if number is greater than 5, then print number. So that is why it is printing out all the numbers that are greater than 5 here. So this is just a simple way you can use loop. Now, if you notice, we have what we call a conditional statement, if here. So the if is, it checks for a condition. So if that condition is true, if that condition is true, it executes the code inside that condition, inside that statement, it executes the block of code inside that statement. So this is a condition if number is greater than 5. So like I said, number is the current number in each iteration. So if number is greater than 5, then it will print out the number. So let's assume that this is wrong. Let's assume that this condition is false. And we want to do something else. We want to check, okay, so I have multiple conditions. I want to check if I want to do something if number is greater than 5. I want to do something if it is less than 5. How am I going to do it? So we have something else called else. So alongside an if statement, we can also use an else statement. So an else statement is like a fallback option or a fallback condition, whereby as long as you don't want, like your if statement is false, the else statement will always run if you state it inside the if else block. So this is called an if else block, by the way. So if else, so else prints this number. Okay, yeah, number is less than 5. Let's see what happens. So now, if you check the terminal, it has number is less than 5, 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 then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now that shows that it goes through every iterator and it checks for this condition here. And this condition here returns false. So since this condition here returns false, this would not run. It will not print any number. Rather, it will come to this else block here and print number is less than 5. So this is a simple way you can use an if-else statement. Yeah. So I want to mention something else in this loop. So while we can use loops to iterate over a given set of sequence, so the reason why we call them sequences is because they can be iterated over. You can loop through them. So a sequence is a list, an array, a list, a dictionary, is dictionary a sequence? Yes. A tuple. So tuple is another data type. So you go in depth into them later on. So you can also specify the number of times you want to loop. So let's say we want to loop 10 times. We want to loop 10 times. So, or let's say 20 times. So we can do for number or for I in range 10. Then print I. So I is like the standard. Most times you see Python code, we mostly use I and J. So it's like the standard, it's like a rule that no one ever tells you, but you find yourself using it most times. So for I in range 10, print I. Or let's say range 20. Print I. So now, okay, awesome. Now you can see that we are printing something on the console here. So we are printing it and it's printing from 0 to 19. But we want to look, we specified 20 times. So why is it printing from 0 to 19? Why not 0 to 20 or from 1 to 20? Now that is because in Python, we have items here and we also have the index of an item. So the index of an item is the position an item is in an array. So for example, now let's go back to our numbers here. Now we have numbers 1 to 10 in our numbers array. For by the way, if you count, if you are using your laptop, you are following with your laptop and you count 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, you see that it gives you 20, like 20 times. It is looping through 20 times. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 to 19 is actually 20 iterations. So the reason why it's starting from 0 is because in Python, in a list or in an array or in any given sequence, we have what we call an index and the position or an index and the particular item itself. So the particular item is the iterator 1, 2, 3 to 10. But the index is the position that item occupies in that given sequence. Now, take note, the index is the position that particular item occupies in that sequence. Now, in Python, an index starts from 0, not 1. So here, if you are to write the index of each of them, so this should be 0, this should be 1, this should be 2, this should be 3, this should be 4, this should be 5, this should be 6, 7, 8, 9. So let's demonstrate that quickly. So let's just do for number in numbers. So I'm going to use another function here called enumerate. There are built-in functions in Python. Don't worry about what it does. I will explain. And as time goes on, you would understand them better. Okay, so enumerate. So we have for I. Yes, so what enumerate does is enumerate shows the index of a given iterator in a particular sequence. So it shows both the index and the particular item itself. So number. So we'll see the position of an item now. Let's see if it aligns with what we have here. So I am just going to click run. Oh, no, something is wrong. They should run. Okay. Yes. So if you see, we have 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3. So think of it like, since we are printing I, okay, let me write this in English so you would understand better. The index is the item is so now let's run this. Then you should see the index is, oh, this is wrong. I don't know what's wrong with this code runner. So I'm just going to run it in terminal. Okay. So yeah, that was code runner misbehaving. So you see, it shows the index is 0, the item is 1. The index is 1, the item is 2. The index is 2, the item is 3. So for each iteration, it shows you the position of the particular item. So that is why when we use that range, it started from 0 and not from 1. So in Python or in programming, most times, in most programming languages, you see that the index of an item starts from 0. So that is how we know. So now we've demonstrated variables, we've looked at loops, we've also looked at conditional statements, although not in depth. So the videos on the LMS shows. Sorry, I've not been looking at the chat for a while. I like to think everyone could hear me. I can't see the chat. Oh, okay. So there's been questions since I was not looking at it. So this question says, we cannot call a character enclosing a string or double string. Oh yeah, it is still a string. Okay, so yeah, it is still a string, but actually it's a character. But most times when you like, string is like the generalized name for a sequence of characters or a character. So it's still, you can still call it a string when it is just one character. But most times, if it's a character, why not just call it a character? But it's a string. The variable, the type of the variable when you check is a string. So the data type is a string itself. So the reason I'm using a character is I am just trying to explain what a string is. So a string is just a sequence of characters. A character is just one alphabet now, so it's a string, so you can still call it a string. So the coily breezes, this one here is used to denote a dictionary. So when we go over dictionaries, we'll see how to use this. And also set uses this. Sets in Python uses the coily braces. So that's just it. Then the index is okay. I think that one. What does F mean? Okay, so yeah, I think I used that without explaining. So F is like a format. So it's a way to like use both um strings and variables together. So with the coily braces here, this line of code, what it does is it prints out a string. So it formats this, it makes all of this into irregardless of the data type of a variable inside this F. So this is called an F string, yeah, F string. So regardless of the data type in an F string, it is still converted to a string. So I am making all this into a string. So the reason why I use this coily braces here is to denote that this is a variable. So if I just put I here, it will be the index is I, but that shows that the index is a variable. I am referencing here. The item is a variable number. So that's just the explanation. Okay, so I will be switching to okay, so I'll just be taking questions now. I'll stop sharing my screen and just focus on questions. I will be switching over to my phone from my laptop because if you can see my screen, my laptop, my battery is almost dead and I'll need to have to leave the meeting to go make sure my other source of power comes on, which would leave everyone hanging. So since we have about 15 minutes left, I'll just be taking questions all through the 15 minutes. So I'll just stop sharing my screen and focus fully on taking questions. So if you have questions, please, you can shoot. So can everyone hear me? I believe everyone can hear me. For some reasons, I cannot see the chat again. Okay, so someone asked me to explain the difference between the for loop and the while loop. So the for loop is used when you need to iterate over a given, or you use a for loop when your number of iterations is known. So you use a for loop when you have to iterate over a given set of data, and you know this data you're iterating over, and you know the possible number of iterations you want to do for that data. That is, if you are using for loop to iterate over a data. You can also use for loop to iterate over a given number of iterations. So I know that I want to iterate 20 times. Yeah, I use for loop. But while loop is used when you don't know the number of iterations. So you want something to be done. So let's say, for example, now, I want to keep an operation running until a user presses a button. So most times you see things like, okay, press this button to quit. Maybe you are using a service and you say, okay, press Q to quit or press E to exit or something like that. So as long as the user does not press that button, or as long as that condition is not yet met, the while loop will keep on executing forever. So next class, or I think our next class is tomorrow. So I would probably demonstrate how to use a while loop. So a while loop is used when you do not know the number of iterations. You just want a given condition to pass, then the while loop will stop. So if you are in full stack, yes, you'll be using backend Python. You'll be going over backend Python. So you should check your calendar. The next class, the time is there. So another question says, oh, the 0 to 9, yes, I typed it myself there. How do you link Python to your VS Code? You don't need to link Python to your VS Code as long as you have Python installed on your computer. VS Code does its work. It does its work, and it knows that anything with a .py extension is a Python file. So it will run it accordingly as long as you have that code runner extension on your VS Code. So the significance of the F before the string, before the quotation mark, is to show that you are formatting it. So it is called a string formatter. Yeah. So you call it F string formatter. So it's to show that, okay, anything inside this, if we see a curly braces inside this, we should know that it's a variable. So it just formats everything into a string. So it formats everything inside the quotation mark, because normally in programming, yeah, a string is always denoted with quotation marks. So now the F in front of those quotation marks is showing that I want to format anything, be it a variable or whatever, because most times variables are just placeholders, yeah. So if the variable is an integer, if it is a float, if it's a boolean, whatever it is, just format it into a string. So that is what that F does. It just formats whatever is inside the quotation marks into a string. So can everyone hear me? I believe that is clear. So from next week, we would probably be having a more interactive session where I probably would like to see, like people to ask questions with their voice and stuff, not just typing it. So I would see if we can use Zoom for it. So I tried running a Python on my VS Code, but it didn't. I don't think I got your message. Error message is to install Pylons from the market space. Please, can you? Okay, so I think we have about 8 minutes left. So can you just screenshot the error and send it to me on Slack? My Slack name is still Enny. So so we have, for those just joining, we have another class. The class will be ending by 6. And like I said, apologies for, although we should have started earlier, apologies for the timing we started. We had some technical difficulties. That's why we needed to still change the link and stuff like that. So okay, so this question says, okay, I think it's the same question. Yes, I am not sharing my screen anymore. Okay, so this we have about 6 more minutes. So if you have questions, please just ask them. I think another class will hold by 6. So, but it's not the Python class. I don't know what class that is, but it's not the Python class. So please, you can just type your questions there. No, the class is from 4 to 6. So the class is from 4 to 6. We started late. Apologies for that. Like I said, so we started late. So we started by 4:45. So, but tomorrow we'll be having another class for an hour. So please, you can just keep asking your questions. So tomorrow's class will be from 5 to 6. So tomorrow's class will be from 5 to 6. Please take notes. 5 to 6. So tomorrow's class will probably be a concept. So basically, it's just like we are going over this week's topic here. So I believe this week's topic is from variables to conditional statements to loops. So it will just be me going over the things we've talked about today and some more things. So like I said, I promised to talk about while loops. So I'll talk about while loops. And we'll also look at data types in details too. So we'll look at the different data types that we'll have. No, what we did now was for loop. So you use the while keyword for a while loop. So the loop we did was for loop. We used the word for. So you would see the difference between both of them when we consider the while loop tomorrow. No, there's only one Python class tomorrow, and it is 5 to 6. Wait, let me check. Okay, yes, there is another one by 7. Yes, there is another Python class by 7. Yes, there is another Python class by 7. But I will not be the one handling it. It will be handled by another mentor. Okay, so we have about 2 more minutes, so I'll just be taking one question. Yes. So tomorrow's class is with Femi. So we have 2 classes. I'll be taking one by 5 and the other one is by 7. 7. So yes, there'll be readable materials. So we'll be sharing the readable materials too alongside the videos. So for now, we have just the videos. I'll collect the readable materials and I'll send them. I'll tell the coordinator to add it to the LMS. So thank you all for joining. It was really fun. I think I had fun, so I hope you did too. It was really fun and enjoyable, and I hope you learned a thing or two. For those who have been here, who have been expecting the class to start by 4, but the class was not yet started by 4, I'm very sorry for that. Apologies for that. And tomorrow will be much better. Have a lovely evening ahead and stay safe. Bye.